Well, it's Sunday afternoon. Get ready to go to church here. This is Brother Rodas, as you probably know. But I want to give you a quick testimony. I want to show you the power of prayer, fasting, and the spoken words. Now, several years back, I got a phone call from a friend of mine up in Wisconsin, and he apostolic preacher as well. And he says, listen, I want you to come and I want you to meet me. I want you to go with me to pray for my sister. Sister lived in Wisconsin where he lived, in the area, whatever. So a couple hour drive, I went to Wisconsin and met him and his sister. She told me on the phone about his sister. She'd been to the doctor, she'd been having symptoms, whatever, and she was diagnosed with incurable cancer, breast cancer, matter of fact. She was given a diagnosis, a prognosis of 6 months to live. 6 months to live. The worst part of that, she was a backslider. She had been in the church. She had not been in church for quite some time, no longer serving God. Now, this is what he told me. He told me about how she became bitter, became angry, whatever, at things that happened, whatever. I don't know the details. It's irrelevant. I'm just giving you this story to let you know that prayer, fasting, and the spoken word still works in the hour we live. It's not just the Bible concept that happened thousands of years ago, but it still works today, and it can work for you as well. So anyway, 6 months to live, aggressive type of cancer. She had breast cancer. So we met her, went to her home, we got there, went in the door there. She was sitting right by the door in a small little chair, just sitting waiting for us. He had kind of made the appointment, so she knew we were coming, and she was willing to be prayed for. Since she hadn't been in church, and as he said, a backslid condition. That's his words to me. We got there, and we had just a moment, 1 or 2 minutes of small talk. I had never met her before, and him and I together, we begin to pray with authority over the situation. We begin to bind the spirit of cancer, take authority over the spirit of cancer through the name of Jesus. It was quite, can I use the word, quite a surge, is the way I would express the feeling of the Spirit of God, the presence of God there with his sister and my friend. And we prayed, and quite a move of God. And she began speaking with tongues, as him and I were. She began speaking with tongues. It just flowed out of her. And so we prayed for several minutes. So we took authority through the name of Jesus. We spoke to that cancer, spoke to that spirit, commanded it in the name of Jesus, and believing for the best. And we got done praying. I asked her, I said, listen, sis, I heard what, while we were praying, I said, I heard you speaking with tongues. I said, when was the last time you spoke with tongues? Because I knew what he had already said to me on the phone. So she said to me, it had been a long time. She had really spoken in tongues. That was a good thing. It was a beautiful thing. That she yielded to God, felt the presence of God. And the mercy of God was there, of course. The great mercy of God. Which we all need, thank God. And anyway, we left the home, not knowing physically what happened, hoping, believing for the best. Months later, some months later, I don't know, I spoke with him again. He said, listen, I want you to know, my sister does not have cancer. She does not have cancer. God has healed her, and she has not had any kind of radiation or chemo, medicine, surgery, hasn't had anything. But she is declared healed by the power of God. Now, this is a testimony. It's a beautiful testimony. Now, what's great about this is several years later, because she only had 6 months to live, the diagnosis to die within 6 months, aggressive form of breast cancer. Many of you may know about, there's, I guess, 2 different types. One's not so aggressive, one's, I would assume that's the one she had, because 6 months is not very long to live. Anyway, several years later, he came back to me and we talked on the phone again. He said, listen, I want you to know my sister's still healed. My sister is still healed. She never had chemo, any kind of radiation, surgery, medicine. God healed her that day. God healed her that day. And we want to thank God. Why? Because there's power in prayer, fasting, and the spoken word. God can heal. Listen, sometimes we're under the aid of a doctor. Sometimes we go through those remedies and treatments and things, and we thank God that we still come out when all that takes place. But it's even a step more beautiful, if I can say it that way, that when God heals without the aid of a doctor, when God heals without the aid of a doctor, and years later, his testimony was 3 to 5 years later, whatever, she's still healed, never had any problems. I want to give you that testimony. Now, if you're interested, I'm going to put a link to my book here on fasting. So if you're interested in that, I address, it's a very strong book on the subject of gaining and retaining victory and deliverance. Okay, so you're going to read a lot about that, and so the link will be here if you're interested. Go take a look at it in Kindle if you want the ebook, or if you want the paperback as well. That is there for you. All right, have a great day. Bye now.